It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas in New England. And we haven't even played the traditional Thanksgiving Day games. We are in northeastern Massachusetts for this week's ECAC New England Chevy Dealers Game of the Week. Tom Larson along with Bob Norton. This one matches the Bentley College Falcons and the Stonehill College Chieftains. Bentley with an offense that can hit you on the ground or in the air, but maybe most notable, the Falcons' defense.
Yeah, and this is a day for defense. You know, there's snow on the field. It's going to be very, very tough conditions. The defense can really sock it in. Ben Nasser out of North Reading, defensive end. Bill Tucker out of North Andover, rather. Bill Tucker out of Reading High School. Two big, strong defensive end have combined for 31 sacks over the course of the season, 11 sacks for turnovers. They're big, strong defensive ends, really key this team defensively.
It may also be that the most notable single player for the Stonehill club is on the defensive side of the ball, who also plays a little bit of offense. Nort senior co-captain Richard White.
Well, you know, Richard White is that kind of player that's so valuable at this level of football where kids can play two ways. He is an outstanding defensive player. He's going to lead this school in career interceptions. He's going for a single-season interception record. He also can run the ball. He also can catch it from the wide receiver position. Very valuable guy, an outstanding football player. Defense is going to be the key today, no question about it, with the conditions as they are.
Bentley comes in with a record of 5-3 for the season. Stonehill is 4-5. There are no conference titles that are at stake here, no spots in postseason competition, but this is a rivalry that gets the adrenaline flowing for both ball clubs.
I think both coaches, both coaching staffs try to prepare their kids as well as they can for that game. They want you, put your best foot forward when we play each other, and I think both teams bring the best out in each other. I really do.
So, Nort, another one of those anything can happen and often does kind of ball games.
Well, you going to talk to me about rivalries after last week? I mean, that was one of the unbelievable games we've ever seen, and this has been a great rivalry over the years, Bentley, Stonehill, and I'm expecting a great game today. Sometimes conditions like this, these games get offensively out of hand when you're expecting a defensive battle, so this should be a good one.
Bentley and Stonehill, the ECAC Chevy Dealers of New England Game of the Week on Nesson. The opening kickoff is coming up after this.
You'll call it your window of opportunity.
And there's one thing that's bound to attract a crowd. Festive decorations? Maybe. Pretty lights?
Whoa, how about saving money?
It's the Chevy Make Your Money Count year-end event where you can get low 2.9 APR financing or great cashback savings on a huge selection of Chevy cars and trucks. So don't forget, make your money count now at your Chevy dealer and save big.
Especially since you can make no payments till 1998, only at your local Chevrolet dealer.
Budget now rents Mustang convertibles and other diversions. Budget, get out of the ordinary. Rent a convertible, minivan, or sport utility for just $45 a day at Budget.
Since 1938, the Eastern College Athletic Conference has been a resource for its members by providing over 100 championships along with awards, officiating, and important legislation. With 290 colleges and over 30 playing leagues, the nation's largest athletic conference creates an atmosphere where athletics and academics combine for a tradition of excellence. That's what students are looking for, parents can depend on, and athletes are proud to be a part of. ECAC, the Conference of Champions.
When you're making important decisions about your future, listen to what the experts have to say.
Coming from Bentley, you cannot be technology illiterate.
You are expected to use your computer for almost all of your classes.
They prepared me for the technical world.
Bentley College, Waltham, Massachusetts. Undergraduate, graduate, and continuing education programs. Call 1-800-5-BENT-LEY.
The ECAC Football Game of the Week on Nesson is brought to you by the Chevy Dealers of New England. Visit your local Chevy dealer today. By Reebok Team Sports, proud suppliers of footwear, apparel, and uniforms to the ECAC and its member colleges. By Budget Rent-A-Car, the official car and truck rental of the ECAC. Budget, get out of the ordinary. And by Spalding Sports Worldwide. Spalding Top Flight 100 and J5V are the official footballs of the ECAC. Well, it wasn't a whole lot of snow, maybe 2 inches that covered this football field, but it took a couple of hours, 2.5 hours to get it off. And we're going to have a pretty good surface out there.
Did you have your gauge out there? I think it was more than 2 inches, but they really did a great job here at Stonehill. You got to give credit to all the folks here in the ground crew. I think they had everybody that was awake this morning at 11 o'clock on the Stonehill campus out here shoveling snow and all the snow blowers and everything, and they put forth a superb effort. The orders must have come down from the priest to get this place cleaned up, because it's about as good a playing surface as you can have today, considering the awful weather we had yesterday. They did a great job.
Head coach Peter Yetton, and Bentley has won 4 in a row here at Chieftain Stadium. This is a series. It's not a long-term series at this point, because these two schools are relatively new to football. Bentley overall with an 18-7-1 tie advantage over Stonehill. In 9 games since they've both gone to varsity programs, Bentley also holds the advantage there with 5 wins to Stonehill's 3 and 1 tie. Stonehill won the toss. They deferred to the second half. They elected to kick off. So Bentley will be receiving and defending the goal to our right. It's a short kick that angles to the sideline, and Bentley got there to recover it just before it went out of bounds. It had easily gone the 10 yards necessary for it to be a free ball, and the Falcons will take over. Yard lines are going to be just a little bit difficult to determine, but they will be at the 34-yard line. Yeah, Mike Mason, the quarterback for Bentley.
I'm sorry, Tom. Look momentarily as if Bill Tucker was going to let that ball go out of bounds, and I thought that would have been a chancy play. They finally fell on it and took possession.
Mike Mason, outstanding quarterback for Bentley. His father, Joe, is the football coach at Dorchester High in the city of Boston. They've won some Super Bowl championships. To Matt Raposa, he is their #1 ground gainer. Has about 70 to 75% of their rushing yards. Sementelli, Neal, Lazari, Page, and Kinsey, the offensive line for Bentley. They average 6'2" and 255. Carr, DeBrito, Lee, Mason, Aiello, and Lee, the backs and receivers for the Falcons. 2nd down and 8. The ball at the 36-yard line of Bentley. Mason with the snap. Again, Raposa, left side. And he is dumped at the 40-yard line. 3rd down for Bentley. The tackle by David Fleming out of Wilmington, Massachusetts. Defensive line, Bowen, Pacino, Burns, and Minicucci. Rushlow, Crovo, Fleming, Driscoll, White, Goucher, and Fredette, linebackers and the secondary for Stonehill. The front 4 averaging 5'11 and a half and 220, with 1 junior and 3 seniors across the front. Here's 3rd down and 4 for Bentley, and Mason to throw for the first time in the afternoon. Gets away from a tackler and fires. The pass is complete for the 1st down. Caught by Casey Butler over on the far side, right in front of the Bentley bench area.
That was a scramble kind of play by Mason as he sort of rolled to the right-hand side. Butler came back, went down the sideline looking for the ball. DeBrito comes back. Watch DeBrito, that's #1. He's trying to come back and get himself in pass receiving situation, and the pass was thrown down the sidelines to Butler.
1st and 10, Bentley.
It was when Lundell actually coming back. And I thought that was DeBrito, but it was Lundell, 5.
Raposa, Aiello, the fullback, 31 on the short yardage gain. Chris Rushlow makes the tackle for Stonehill's Chieftains.
Talking to the Bentley coaches before the game, Tom, they had some concern as to how often they were going to be able to throw the wet ball, how effectively they're going to be able to throw it. Mason, not particularly mobile back there, pretty much a drop-back passer, but he used some ability to move to the right-hand side to throw that key 1st down pass.
Mason, one of a number of players on these two teams out of Winthrop and Winthrop High School. Raposa trying the right side of the line, bumped into his own blockers, tried to bounce it out to the right side, and then the linebackers came up, and loss of a yard on the play. It's going to be 3rd and 10. That was Chad Goucher who makes the tackle for Stonehill.
Yeah, Goucher's a cornerback on the left-hand side. Peter Yetton, graduate of Boston University and Waltham High School, outstanding 3-sport athlete at Waltham High, and has had a great career as coach at Bentley College. Done a superb job. Been mentioned for a number of coaching jobs around New England at a little higher level, but he continues to commit himself to Bentley.
1971 graduate of Boston University. Here is 3rd down and 10. Mason floats a pass, and something got messed up because there was nobody anywhere close. David Pacino had some pressure on and it'll be 4th down.
It was a blitz read all the way. The Stonehill came with pressure, and everybody's got to read that as a blitz, and that's a quick release by the quarterback, get rid of the football and flip it out to the flank, and he just didn't have anybody looking back. Kevin Nickel, the tight end, was a hot receiver, but didn't look back for the ball.
Brian Adamson will take this punt for Stonehill at the 22-yard line. Is whacked down about the 24. Short return, and Stonehill has the football for the first time. Gave up a first down and then held it, forcing Bentley to punt on their first possession of the afternoon. 11 minutes and 58 seconds to go. Just underway.
They did a pretty good job of punting there, Tom, too, because they got a bad snap, and that's going to be a factor over the course of the game. How the centers handle a wet football. Fryer took that back on the first top and got rid of it pretty effectively. John Derrick is the quarterback for Stonehill, at least as we start the game. They've used a lot of different people all season long at the quarterback spot. Derrick is 15. He will throw on first down, and long to Adamson's got it. First down for the Chieftains in Bentley territory at the 40. The long bomb, well, they're going to mark it to 41. Big play on first down. Well, we saw a lot of this last week. This is splitting the defense deep down the middle of the football field. And the cornerback, the safety rather, gets beaten deep. You can see it right there as Adamson is behind the deepest man. Cornerback Oates on the coverage, and free safeties, Tim O'Brien, Sean Gray. Deep man got the deep receiver, got deeper than the deepest defender, and the completion for Stonehill. Big pass play.
Derrick, the quarterback, out of Londonderry, New Hampshire, high school team, and he's only a freshman, won the New Hampshire State Championship last year out of the shotgun, and time and throws into the end zone, and that is broken up just at the last minute. The pass was intended down there by Richard White, who is the offensive and defensive star on this Stonehill ball club. Boy, fine defensive play. The offensive line, Lasinskas, Kokosinski, Bowker, Ashbel, and Heiss. Backs and receivers, Adamson, White, Bowen, Derrick, Harrison, and McSherry. That's Anthony McSherry. His brother Mike, a co-captain and a major player on this ball club, suffered a broken leg in the second game of the season, and it ended his season and career. There's the handoff. Number 33 is William Harrison, the running back. Harrison gets about 5 on the play. And Stonehill has themselves a little drive underway on their first possession of the afternoon. Sean Gray makes the tackle. He was also the fellow who broke up the pass a while ago. Defensive line, Tucker and Dowd, Lozon, and Nasser for Bentley. A front 4 that goes 6'3" and 248. Holmes, Schulman, Bradshaw, Whitby, O'Brien, Gray, and Oates. 2 juniors, 2 seniors in that front 4 for Bentley. Offensive line for Stonehill, 6'1½", 234 on average. Derrick again to throw. Slipped a little bit. Pass is incomplete. He's broken up here on the near side. That's Sean Gray again, the senior from Mansfield, Mass, breaking up the pass.
Well, turnout by Ken Bowen, the big tight end out of Bishop Curtin High School, Hudson, New Hampshire. That was well defended by the secondary of Bentley. I thought they might have picked up an interference call there with the left arm on the receiver, but well defended. Hand gets down in front and pass knocked away.
Brad Sforza is back for Bentley and will let it roll, and it goes out of bounds down inside the 10-yard line. So it's going to be a long way to pay dirt for Bentley, about 91 yards away.
Bentley stabilized defensively in that situation. They got the big play downfield by the defensive safety man, strong safety, Sean Gray, to tip that pass away, the long pass, as Stonehill went back to that deep pass well. It had been successful for them earlier, but Gray made the play there defensively to sort of stymie that Stonehill offense. 10:36 remaining in the first quarter. No score, and Bentley backed up against their wall.
These two teams play in the Eastern Football Conference. You're looking at the standings in the Atlantic Division. There is the pitch to Raposa, and Raposa gets a couple of yards trying to turn the corner on the right side. Bentley and Stonehill both play in the Bay State Division. At the start of the season, they and AIC were expected to challenge for the division championship, and in fact it did work out that way, although AIC wrapped it up a couple of weeks ago, and they will host the conference championship game next Saturday against either Albany or Southern Connecticut. Those two teams play a 1 o'clock game out in Albany, where there are 7 or 8 inches of snow on the ground out there. The winner takes on AIC next Saturday. You'll see that game here on Nesson. Handoff again for Raposa, and Raposa just back to about the line of scrimmage, and it'll be 3rd down and 7 or 8 coming up here for Bentley.
Raposa, Dickie White made the tackle. Raposa out of Case High School. He's a native of New Bedford. One of the things you'll like as a defensive football player in this kind of game is that this kind of turf slows down the back. So if you've got any kind of speed problem as a linebacker or a defensive tackle, you're happy in this kind of surface because everybody offensively slowed down a little bit. They come down to your level.
Raposa started the game needing 33 yards for 1,000 for the season. Needs 26 now. Mason is tripped up. Back at the 5-yard line, and it's 4th down, punting situation for Bentley.
Well, Mike Crovo makes a nice play there out of Whitman-Hanson High School. Penetration. Mason goes back, can't find a receiver downfield. Might have had somebody over on the right-hand side. Looked as if DeBrito made a little turn back. It might have been open, but he got pressure from number 53, Crovo. Had no time to throw the football deep in their own territory.
But again for Adamson. Field is getting muddy. Adamson brings it right side, and he is well met. And a good stand-up hit by Jake Oates, number 27, out of Cheshire, Connecticut, another one of New England's great football towns.
Well, this is field position game today, particularly with the weather conditions, the wet ball. You want to keep yourself on the plus side of the 50-yard line. If you can do that over the course of the game and you maximize that amount of time, you're going to win this football game, in my view. And here they get possession of the football back with the exchange of punts. After holding defensively, they have excellent field position, and they're at about the, go ahead, take a guess, what yard line?
I'm saying the 29.
Oh, there you go. That's it. You're right. I just saw the 20.
Derek, the handoff. Harrison finds a little bit of room and skids to the 25-yard line. This field is getting very slippery very quickly. Referee today is James Gleason. The rest of his crew, well, no huddle offense for Stonehill. Derek out of the shotgun and fires a floater that's down into the corner for Adamson. Got it. And is he in or is he not?
1 yard line.
No
1 yard
touchdown at the 1 yard line. No huddle. Snap to Derek, floated the pass for Adamson, who dived for it and came up just a yard short. We're looking for arms in the air. It didn't happen. 1st and goal for Stonehill.
Well, they ended up with the wide receiver on a linebacker out of shotgun. I don't think that's a situation that Bentley wanted. Dieterding is out there covering, but he can't keep up with Adamson. The wide receiver beats him down the sideline, stopped at the 1.
Quarterback sneak. Derek leans in, and the arms are up. Touchdown. Stonehill takes the lead, 6-0. 8 minutes and 8 seconds to play in the first quarter. Quarterback sneak by John Derek, the freshman out of Londonderry, New Hampshire.
Well, that was one of those situations where, in going a hurry-up offense, Bentley's defense might have been confused with what their coverage responsibilities were, because they ended up with the wide receiver on the linebacker, and the linebacker is going to beat the wide receiver down the field most of the time. I don't care what level you're playing at, and that's exactly what happened in that situation.
Dave Berry, now they fake the extra point kick. There's that little shuttle pass to the inside. Number 28 scrambling to get across the goal line, cannot do it. The shuttle pass was to number 28 Chad Goucher on the inside, didn't get there, so the score will stay at 6-0. And that's our situation in the first half with 8:08 to go in the quarter. Stonehill leads Bentley 6-0. We'll be right back.
I think this is a place where people can showcase their skills in running the ball, catching.
But, Kurt, you ain't feeling no pressure to consider you the defending champion. I believe in repeats and repeats.
I would think it's a friendly competition.
But once they get on that dotted line out there and they hear that gun go off,
I try to enlighten some rookies.
How you blow a lead like that?
Some of the things that the wily veterans have told me.
Anything that you start, you try to come in first place in.
Hey, he's inviting us to his house tomorrow, isn't he?
Stonehill is an awesome college to go to. It has a really nice atmosphere.
The national press is discovering what many New Englanders have known all along. Stonehill College is one of the most vibrant Catholic liberal arts schools in the country. Located 20 minutes south of Boston, Stonehill is celebrating 50 years of excellence in liberal arts, science, and business administration. With an enrollment of 2,000, there are no strangers at Stonehill. classrooms are where students and professors truly get to know each other. Students have access to the latest technology, and a new state-of-the-art library is set to open in 1998. Stonehill has a diverse menu of clubs and activities and offers sports for competitive and recreational athletes alike.
If you're just sitting in your room saying, there's nothing to do, then you really don't know what's going on, because there's always something to do here.
Religious inspiration is evident by the large number of Stonehill students volunteering for charity work. Looks at Spez, Light and Hope is more than just a slogan. It represents students who care about making a difference.
This year's graduating class will produce 7 doctors, 27 lawyers, 24 teachers, 65 divorcees, 34 alcohol and drug abusers, 42 cases.
If you're lonely, depressed, or suicidal, or know someone who is, there's a place to receive safe, confidential understanding and non-judgmental support. Call the Samaritans 24-hour hotline.
16 attempted suicides, and tragically, 3 completed suicides.
Get the Samaritans in the picture before it's too late.
2 receptions already for Brian Adamson, who needs just 1 more now to move into second place on Stonehill's all-time receiving list. And on the short onside kick after the touchdown, big pile up at about the 45-yard line. Did it go the 10?
No, I don't. I think it was received before the 10 yards. But I think it's difficult. We're seeing everything today. A little shuttle pass on shovel pass, I'll get it right, on 2-point conversion. Conversions have been an adventure for us the last 2 weeks. Those of you who watched the Amherst-Williams game, 2-point play with 1:30 to go for Amherst, and then a sort of a shovel pass here for a 2-point play early in the game, and then an onside kick.
Mason flips it out, right side, pass is complete. DeBrito stays on his feet and gets 1st and 10 yardage down into Stonehill territory. Nice piece of running by DeBrito after the reception. Mike Minicucci finally making the tackle. DeBrito is the #1 receiver. He's about the only target for Mason.
Well, Peter Yedden loves DeBrito. He thinks if he was another couple of kicks faster in the 40-yard dash, he'd be at the Division I program. He can very effective after he catches the ball. Big, strong kid.
Mike Lundell wide out to the left side. This is Raposa, and Raposa stretches across the 35-yard line, gets to the 34. Yard lines are going to be difficult to figure out here this afternoon. That tackle was made by David Pacino, number 75, from North Quincy, Mass. North Quincy High School. The gain on that last play, 2 yards for Raposa. 2nd down and 8 for Bentley. Lundell to the left. DeBrito goes out to the right. The quarterback is Mason. Short drop, throws to DeBrito, had it, couldn't hold on. It's bouncing around, could have been intercepted. It is by Stonehill. That ball bounced around. They were playing volleyball with it. It hung in the air, and David Fleming brought it down for the INT.
Well, this is a young receiver error. This is a quick slant by DeBrito, and he does not reach out to catch the ball with the hands, and the ball bounces off the chest. See, it bounces right off the pads, hits him off the shoulder pads, bounces up in the air, and then it's picked off by Fleming as it careens around in there. But on that pass, Tommy, you have got to reach out with the hands and catch the ball. You let that ball bounce up against the shoulder pads, that's what happens.
Hit him off the chest.
Yep.
He touched it briefly with the hands, and then it went off the front of the helmet. And on the handoff into the middle, there is nothing as the ball carrier gets pushed back to the 25-yard line. That's McSherry, Anthony McSherry. Tackled by Joe Dowd, among others. Mike Dieterding was in there as well. Dieterding, one of the co-captains of this Bentley football team. 6 minutes and 43 seconds to play. We're in the first quarter at Chieftain Field in northeastern Massachusetts, the home of the Chieftains. And they lead the ball game by a score of 6-0. And they've just come up with the interception to get the ball back. Out of the shotgun, the freshman quarterback is Derrick. Fires over here for Adamson. Play is blown dead. Either had his knee on the ground or dropped it so that the ball touched the ground, or both.
I think the knee touched the ground. That's what the official's calling. Possession right there at the spot. Now let's watch and see what happens. I'll tell you, Bentley was in pretty good defensive position. At knee to the ground, that's where the ball stops.
Well, there's an indication of how difficult it can be to throw the ball. That was kind of a flip-flopping, kind of rolling around pass.
Well, I was gripping the ball out in pregame warm-up, certainly not trying to throw it, just trying to grip it, and it was very slippery.
6 minutes, even, to go in the first quarter. I formation behind Derek. And he throws over the middle. The pass was deflected. Number 26 in the secondary for Bentley, Tyler Bradshaw, tipped it, and it fell incomplete. So 4th down and 14 coming up for Stonehill.
Tyler Bradshaw gets a pretty good drop. He's a linebacker on the left side, and he just drops back on that drop-back pass action and gets in the passing lane, knocks the ball down.
Forza and Frizzoli are back, and they battle over the football, and it's Forza who takes it and is immediately taken down at the 40-yard line by Michael Crovo.
Well, we had a bunch of kids in this game on both sides of the football from Whitman Hanson High School. Michael Crovo, senior, 6 foot 190. This is great coverage, a little confusion. You don't want to do this. Alphonse and Gaston, who's got it? Finally, they pick up the football, but Crovo's down there. Great punt coverage, and Crovo makes the tackle. Bentley on the turnover of the football, picks the ball up in reasonably decent field position, but they've had trouble sustaining an offensive attack.
DeBrito is wide out to the left side. And that's Casey Butler who shifts, number 82. Mason trying to get back in the pocket, slipped and fell, and he'll lose about 7 yards on the play. Michael Crovo was right there with him. Yeah, a lot of kids from Hanson, Whitman Hanson High School, a lot of kids from Winthrop High and from Winthrop.
Crovo's made 2 big plays in a row. You know, as a defensive football player, you know, you love to watch those films on Sunday night when you can get those back-to-back plays. You know, I never had many of those. Mine were sort of generations apart. But in this case, he's made 2 back-to-back plays. Mason had some trouble getting away.
Jason Baker out to the right side for Bentley. DeBrito on the left. Mason looking for something downfield. Finally throws. It is a nice catch over on the far sideline. It is complete and inbounds. Darren Lee, 6'4", out of Merrimack, New Hampshire, and Merrimack High School. Big target, 6'4", 237. Mason looking all over for somebody open, and had Lee coming back for the ball.
Pretty good footwork by Mason that time to keep himself alive, keep working around in the pocket, and all the receivers downfield were covered. Lee picked that ball up by coming back and creating a passing angle for Mason.
3rd and 8. And Crovo again in a big play as he puts Mason down for yet another loss, and that brings up 4th down. Pat Burns was in on that, number 60 from Springfield's Cathedral High School. So a punting situation again for Bentley.
Well, that's, you know, from the standpoint of Bentley, you're not going to fool too many people with Mason on the option. That's not what he does well, and particularly on a day like today. Had some trouble coming down the line, get rid of the ball.
Adamson and Rodriguez are the punt returners. It's Adamson again. It drives him back to the 25-yard line. Slips a little bit. Never got up ahead of steam, and down he goes. Back at about the 25-yard line, Tyler Bradshaw makes the tackle for Bentley.
Tyler Bradshaw out of Holden, Massachusetts, Wachusett Regional High School. Excellent punt coverage by both football teams, but one of the things that helps in punt coverage on a day like today is the punt receiver can't go very far. You know, sometimes that first man covering the punt really has to balance up because the first guy can beat you, and then all of a sudden you're chasing from behind. In this kind of situation, the punt receiver not going to go very far trying to beat you, and you can really put extra pressure on.
3 minutes and 58 seconds to go in the first half. Handoff is for Harrison. He found a little bit of room as he came up the middle. Gets to the 30-yard line. That's going to be a gain of 5 yards, and 2nd and 5. Started to mention the rest of the officiating crew. Kevin Cody, Tom Gilpatrick, Lou Bedreau, Brian Pendergast, and Chris Smith with referee James Gleason here at Chieftain Field in northeastern Massachusetts this afternoon.
See, we saw Stonehill go to hurry-up offense in their successful touchdown drive. We haven't seen them do it since then.
Adamson and Bowen wide out here to the right side. The pitch is to Harrison, and Harrison brings a guy with him as he gets up toward first down territory. It's really getting slippery and gushy out there at this point.
Well, I'll tell you, you had a great block by Ken Bowen, the tight end out of Hudson, New Hampshire. He just crunches Dieterding when he comes down and cracks back on him. Just annihilation block on that left side. Great hit, but the other side of the coin is pretty good fill coverage by Bentley and ends up being no gain. Is that the end result of that hit? You see 86 coming up off the ground. Now, the thing there is you got to make sure you don't clip him, and he didn't clip. He caught Dieterding just as he turned to chase the play.
Well, Harrison's not a big guy, but he runs strong, doesn't he? Just 5'10" and 175, and he's taking people with him. That's straight ahead. They needed a yard, and I don't know whether they got it. It's going to be 4th down. Well, they may have needed 1.5 yards, and they only got that half. So it's still 4th down and 1 for Stonehill. Stonehill leading 6-0, and this game has been an exchange of punts through most of the first quarter of play. 2 minutes and 13 seconds left.
They don't. I tell you, Bentley's just looking around, counting everybody, making sure they have 11. They get 11.
And Area Laundry is going to do very well after this one. An end-over-end punt. They'll let that one roll. It is well covered by Stonehill Purple down to the 28-yard line. A 37-yard punt. Got a good bounce. And 1st and 10 here for Bentley.
Usually you don't get a bounce like that in this kind of these kind of field conditions. You wouldn't get any kind of bounce in this kind of field
That's
conditions.
what it was at about 9 o'clock this morning. There were scores of people out here raking snow, for heaven's sake.
Well, we didn't start out with scores, but we ended up with scores by the time we were finished.
There was a lot of work by a lot of people, and as a matter of fact, athletic director Paula Sullivan was among those with a shovel in her hand. 9:30, 10 o'clock or so this morning. On 1st down, not a whole lot for Bentley's Falcons. They gave it to Aiello, the fullback, number 31. A yard, 1.5 yards, maybe 2. Scoreboard shows 2nd down and 9. We'll go with that.
Aiello's from Reading, Massachusetts. Reading High School.
Minute 24, 23 to go in the first quarter. Stonehill and Bentley. Mason has a man down there. DeBrito all by himself, and DeBrito is streaking for the end zone. Nobody's going to catch him, and the game is tied.
Well, not much fancy there. That was straight drop back, let her rip. And that was one-on-one coverage between DeBrito and Fredette, the cornerback. And DeBrito just beats number 36, Jason Fredette, right into your living room. Great ball, beautiful throw, catches him in stride. That was just one-on-one coverage on the corner. And there comes DeBrito. That's the 8th play this season that Bentley has had of 50 yards or more, Tom. They've also given up 7 of 50 yards or more, but that's the 8th one of 50 yards or more. I'll guarantee you that they will kick the extra point here.
That was a 70-yard completion, and the extra point is good. Bentley takes the lead at 7-6. 70-yard pass play from Mason to DeBrito with 1 minute and 6 seconds left to go in the first quarter. Mason, number 3 ranked quarterback in the Eastern Football Conference, coming into the game today. 100 for 181, 55% completion percentage for 1,366 yards. That was his 9th touchdown pass of the season to go with 7 interceptions. 2 plays, 71 yards. Didn't take very long.
You know, Tommy, we talked about that's the 8th play of more than 50 yards. There was a DeBrito pass from Mason, 80 yards versus AIC. They also had another 78-yarder against UMass Lowell and an 88-yarder against Sacred Heart. So that's not their longest touchdown completion of the year, but it's their first one of 70 yards plus, 4th one of 70 yards plus.
DeBrito came in today needing 128 receiving yards to reach 1,000 for the season. Well, there is 70 right there.
Well, you start chucking him up that way. I mean, he has an 80, a 78. You know, I mean, that's the way to put him together. 4 receptions this season of over 70 yards. You know, you got 280 yards, 300 yards plus just on 4 catches. But what was great about that was a beautifully thrown ball. Didn't cause the receiver to break stride at all. And he had a step on Fredette, won the step.
DeBrito has had 5 games this year with 100-plus receiving yards. This is Adamson, has a wall in front of him, and he waits for things to happen, and he gets out to the 35-yard line, and that's where Stonehill will begin this offensive series. 1st and 10, and less than a minute to go in the first quarter. Bentley 7, Stonehill 6, 70-yard pass play. Mason to DeBrito for the Bentley touchdown. The extra point is currently the margin at 7-6. Adamson wide to the left side, Sherman to the right. The handoff is to Harrison coming up the middle to the line of scrimmage, and not much more than that. Maybe a half a yard. 2nd down. They do give him one on the play, 2nd and 9.
Now, what's pretty surprising in this first quarter is we worried, and I know the coach Yedden was worried, about how effectively their team would throw the football. And over the first quarter, both teams have thrown the football pretty well, and these are not ideal conditions. They're tough conditions to be a defensive back. You know, Fredette just had real difficulty over there holding his position in the ground as that pattern was run.
Derek faked the pass out on the right side, now throws it complete right over the middle. 1st and 10, out to the 50-yard line. Pass was complete for Big Ken Bowen, 240-pounder, 6'3", from Hudson, New Hampshire, and Bishop Girton High School.
Wow, that was a beautifully conceived play. Watch this, a little fake of the pass in the flat, and this is already a delay by the tight end. You can see him delay there, just go over the middle, a little delay to the tight end, let everybody loosen up. And what happens when you fake that pass out into the flat, you draw the linebacker in the defensive coverage out there, which creates a big crease for the tight end. That was a beautifully conceived play, like that one.
And that's the end of the first quarter of play. Our score, Bentley 7, Stonehill 6. We'll be right back.